Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast.
I figured as much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the Crack Season 2, Episode 2. I am your host, Mabricio Mookie Wilson, and I'd like to introduce my two brothers and co-hosts. Let's give it up for Mr. Fort Wayne FC himself, the owner, the entrepreneur. Let's get a big round of applause, please, for Damarcus Beasley.
What it do? What's up, fellas?
Sitting below, holding down the fort in the back line. Let's give a big round of applause for the legend, the professor, the glow, Oguchi, Onyewu.
You see how Bees don't like when you give me more introduction? His face went, wait.
Yo, but Bees responded today.
I gave up. I gave up on the introduction. It ain't gonna change. It's not getting better. It's the same nonsense. So I just kind of let it ride.
Yo, he actually responded, Gooch. He actually acknowledged me today.
I'm in a good mood today.
He's in a good mood.
Oh man.
Mood.
Something ain't right.
I got my homebody shirt on, my homebody t-shirt on. You know what I'm saying? This is me to a T.
To a T.
I don't leave my bubble. So
I never seen somebody so excited to be in lockdown but Damarcus Beasley.
Yo, I was hyped when it happened. I don't actually got to leave the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real reason Beasley is in such a great mood, we have a wonderful guest on with us today, the pioneer, the GOAT, Mr. Lincoln Phillips. Will be joining us a little bit later.
Sir Lincoln Phillips.
Sir Lincoln Phillips. He's definitely knighted, and he's a DMV representative, as well as Trinidad and Tobago. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But
I don't even think you can. I don't think you can use legend. He's above.
Yeah, above that. Legend. Yeah.
Above legend.
I think pioneer.
Something more.
No.
What's
pioneer?
that?
Pioneer.
Yeah. Something.
Pioneer.
It's like a fairy tale.
Excellence.
I don't know.
Excellent. Black excellence.
I like the sir. He's knighted. You got to say GOAT.
Yep.
Excellence.
Curry GOAT. Yeah, excellence. All right.
He said curry GOAT.
But also not something to applaud is that the MLS is back, baby. They reached the agreement. We had great news that MLS Players Association and MLS both ratified and revised the collective bargaining agreement this past Monday. So they do have a start date, which is April 17th. So I know you guys are very excited that the MLS is back and starting up, and we have the go. We got the green light, but collective bargaining agreements are very, very tough. And us three had a conversation. I won't let the name out, but a source from the Players Union gave us a little briefing about how they went down and what truly the actions went on. But before we get into the details, fellas, you know how tough it is to go through these negotiations with owners and the tug of war that goes on back and forth. Bees, did you ever participate? Before we talk about the MLS, do you ever participate in one in any of your foreign leagues?
Foreign league?
Yeah.
No. Mexico, they just didn't pay you. They're like, yo, they come in the office and be like, hey man, I ain't got it.
I'm good for it though.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, you gotta wait a couple months, but I mean, that's what it was. That was a union.
They hit you. I got you. No, I got you. I'm good for it.
Yeah. You'll get paid in increments. You get maybe 20%, then another 10%, so that's 30. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Mexico, definitely. It wasn't. I don't even think they have a players union in Mexico. So
player what?
Yeah, right. Players what? Union, huh?
Bees, have you ever got paid cash in Mexico?
Yes, plenty of times. I told you. I keep trying to tell y'all.
Don't say that, man. Uncle Sam's listening, man. The IRS, I mean, you better stop.
Hey, catch a joke. And the security man came with trash bags. Hey, I'm telling you, this is a true story. I'm not lying. He came with two big trash bags. My first time ever getting paid in Mexico.
First time. Oh wow.
The first time I got paid in Mexico was in cash, and I had always heard the story. Man, we're getting off topic, but it's all good.
That's what we do here.
I heard stories, you know what I'm saying, about getting paid and different things, like from Herculez Gomez and a couple of other players that I talked to before I went to Mexico, and he was like, yeah, sometimes you get paid in cash, you get paid late, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to be, be ready for that. And I was like, nah, he's kind of, joking around. He exaggerating, you know what I'm saying? But no, that's a real thing. Not every month, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, a couple of times, more than a couple of times you got paid in cash.
And you took that drug money home.
Yo, you literally had to sit in office and count your money before you left. They had one look, Gucci shaking his head. Yo,
we need to transition because we are completely off topic.
Off topic. But yo, you can't. Okay, well, real talk though, you can't leave the office and be like, "Hey man, you shorted me $1,000."
$1,000.
What do you think he gonna say? Hey man, you left.
Yeah. Similar to a drug deal.
Yeah, you had a certificate. Stop saying drug deal.
I'm just saying, allegedly.
Yeah, so you had to sit there and count your money, and then once you got it out, you put it in your folder, and you went home. Well, I mean, I went to the bank, but
well, it's different than in Europe, obviously, because most teams in Europe, the structure of the leagues is different, completely different than MLS. And if teams in Europe don't pay their players complain to FIFA, the teams can go in administration and just fold.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that is what it is. So
yeah, but playing La Liga, and I did that, and it took a year and a half. Man, we getting off topic now. We gotta have Mexico in a whole nother section, whole nother show.
But Goose, La Liga had a lot of problems paying. If you ever had problems at Malaga,
there were always issues, but you always got paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I said, the owners, they'll stretch it out to the extent that they need to, but they know that if it goes past that line, it's above them, right? And then the club's going to get in trouble. So they'll be like, all right, we won't pay them for a month or two, but like once the third month comes, they'll retrospectively play you for everything else, So it's like, okay, I paid you guys, we're good.
So that's the rule, right?
Yeah, so that didn't happen to me.
B's never got. He's still waiting on that third month.
Yo, I'm telling you, they Puebla. I don't want to say anything bad about the club because I love the club. I love the city, the people. That was probably one of my favorite foreign places that I played in my whole career. I loved my time in Mexico. They treated me with so much respect, love, and I still get messages from the fans to this day, and the club. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it was things that happened, and it's the truth. It's not a lie. After I said I didn't want to re-sign in Mexico before the 2014 World Cup, they stopped paying me.
Well, they looked at your bank account.
I had to take it to the to the federation. To
say he don't need money.
Yeah.
This man don't mean.
But in the end,
all the zeros.
In the end, I did get all my money, but it was a process.
Hassle. Yeah.
It's a process.
So, but what's the law, the FIFA law? Is it they can not pay you for 2.5 months before the contract is voided?
There's. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna friggin' regurgitate the law, but there is a kind of a limit that once a complaint gets or an egregious goes to FIFA. Like let's say a team or a player, they're not getting paid. They won't even ask the team. They'll go to FIFA, and then FIFA then has to go to the club. And if that FIFA gets involved and the club, it's
that's exactly what happened. Because I mean, I tried to talk to the club, and they weren't responding. So I was like, okay, then I had to go to FIFA, and took like I said, at the end of that season in 2014. I spoke to FIFA, and then that's how it all started. But it took about a little over a year to get the rest of my contract.
But listen, the one thing that's great about the MLS is that you guaranteed to get your money. And with the recent negotiations with the MLS Players Association, they are guaranteed to get their 2021 money. And they won't have any type of huge cuts. So for at least for a year, they came to some type of agreement. So, we should be thankful for that. And no matter how much times we say MLS doesn't do this, doesn't do that, we don't have to go to the jump through the loops that you have to do in other countries, and just not in Mexico or South America. There's many stories I heard in Turkey and Eastern Europe and Europe even as a whole. So many of the smaller countries, you're just not always guaranteed to get paid, But
I mean, I didn't want to cut you off, but I was just hyped to see that because I was in a similar situation, in Houston, and almost getting locked out. And I was just happy that, the players union stayed together. Because I mean, back then they weren't as together, wasn't as organized as they are now, what they seem to be now. It seems like they got, you're never going to get 100% of what on either side of what you asked for. But it seems like they were happy with, obviously going back to play and the deal that they struck with the league. So I'm just happy that they stuck together, really kept on one word, from the whole league, and that's tough to do. So I was happy that.
So you had an experience where the players didn't stick together back when you was in?
Yeah. Because I mean, the last one was that I was a part of. The whole sticking point was the free agency, and I think it ended up with 28 years old and 8 years, something like that. And that was crazy.
Beasley, a 45-year-old, still not a free agent.
Yeah. So when I came back to the league, I wasn't a free agent. I couldn't decide where I wanted to go. That boggled my mind. So that was like our big sticking point. But you know what I'm saying, we wasn't asked for 28. We asked for like a lot younger than that and less years. And we all were like, okay, we're ready to strike this and that. And at the last minute, we broke and we agreed to the 28 and 8. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in agreement with that, but that's, what happened. So I think now just seeing how it all from afar, seeing how it all unfolded, that it seems like the player union is stronger, they're together, and they really have a voice. And I like that.
Bees, you remember back in early 2000s when the U.S. soccer had the little CBA disagreement and like at one point it was a disagreement with all the players, and then out of nowhere it was a whole new rack of national team players that were playing their games because we had refused to step in and
to sign. I remember that. We actually told the other players not to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's stick together. It's the players against U.S. soccer and blah blah blah. But it didn't work.
They're like, forget y'all.
Forget y'all. Like, this is my chance to get to the national team, so forget y'all. I remember that. What year was that? You remember?
Shit. It was either 2004, 2008. It was before 2004.
Something I don't remember either. But I do remember that.
It is hard to get a large group, a large number in unison because everybody's motivations are different, right?
Right.
Kind of to align that, it's damn near impossible. But I'm glad that we have a season. Hopefully, that both sides got a little bit of what they wanted, because there's no situation that either side's gonna get 100% of everything. So
right.
Well, one thing I want to add is that when Bees was he was so concerned about the free agency, and I think it was negotiated the year 2026 and 2027. The MLS will go to 24 years of age and 4 years playing. So 24.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's what's up.
Definitely. But there's some other things that happen in the agreement that I feel is kind of heartbreaking, and is they have the agreement is really until 2027, but depending on what happens this year, they can readjust and come back to the table this December and readjust. But for what's on the table now, the compensation doesn't go up until 2027. Everybody knows 2026 is the World Cup in North America. And everybody knows that, all the money and sponsorship dollars are going to flood into the United States, back in the league, back in soccer. And the owners won't have to, elevate the compensation of the salaries for the players until 2027. So, you got to give and give and take. Like you said, Gooch, is very tough, brother. It's very tough. But, fellas, I'm so honored and happy to get a chance to bring in, like we said before, one of the pioneers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to introduce.
This is not pure, man. This is new technology and so on, man. But I'm going to be better off for that later on.
Lincoln the Tiger Phillips. Welcome to the crack, sir. It's been too long, man. You should have had you
sir
from the first episode, brother.
Man, it's never too late. First of all, Mabricio, I want to say how very honored and excited I am to be on this show, mainly because of my connections with three of you guys.
Definitely.
Okay, and it's an absolute honor. I mean, I'm going to be 80 years this year, and I've been in the trenches for a long time and fighting, and now you see the young bloods.
Yes.
You see the young bloods coming, and it's I'm really excited about this. I couldn't sleep last night. It's truly an honor to be here on the show with you, Gooch. You and I go way back. I know you remember you as a little 10-year-old, very good soccer player, and with Marvin Gans.
He said he was a striker back then, coach.
with no left foot.
But all I could say is that whatever shortcomings he had or proficiencies or deficiencies, he utilized it well.
Mm-hmm.
And so congratulations to you on that. And Damarcus, I coaching at Howard University, I had a little left winger called Richard Davey, and he was just he could beat a player in a telephone booth. It's just nice down the wing, And when I saw you play the first time, I said, that's my man, and to follow your career and so on. And I'm a real big fan of yours.
Thank you. Thank you. For me,
of course, Mabricio, we'll talk about your story later on, but that's a good story.
Definitely.
That's a good story.
Definitely.
So, guys, it's really, really nice to be on the show.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm honored. I'm really honored to speak to you,
Lincoln. You're a legend in the DMV. You're a legend internationally. You're a legend in the Caribbean. You're a legend everywhere. And
thank you.
January through December, not just Black History Month. You need to be praised, honestly, and I'm happy that you on this call, this show with us, and we can get some real talk out of you.
I appreciate
Lincoln, this is not an interview. This is not an interview. It's a conversation of family members, and
yes.
and it's so important. Like I said, we're having you on, but we really wanted to get the foundation, not only of your career, but of U.S. soccer, especially in the eyes and the lens of a Black player such as yourself, and coming from Trinidad. Give us a little bit of just a little bit of background on how you migrated here to the United States.
Well, it's the show doesn't have time, so I'll go very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I was played on the national team, Trinidad and Tobago, for 5 years, and we went to the Pan Am Games in 1967 in Winnipeg, and we did very well. Trinidad and Tobago, as you know, won the bronze medal. We beat Colombia, we beat Argentina, and tied with Mexico, and we ended up winning the bronze medal. Should have won the silver medal, but we had to play Bermuda for the silver medal, and we got too cocky.
Yeah,
it happens.
We played the game before the game was played, and that was a good object lesson. And as a result of my performance there, especially in the Argentina game, it was just backs and forwards, I was given a contract with the Baltimore Bays in 1968. And
what league was that at that time? It wasn't the NASL yet, correct?
Yeah, it was the NASL.
Okay.
NASL, and the league had just combined
with the ASL.
They had about NPSL and another league. So in 1968, it was one league, the North American Soccer League, and I was thrilled to come up and start my professional career in Baltimore.
Now, Coach, I have an opportunity to find on YouTube a Trinidad versus Suriname game from 1965, and you're in net. And let me tell you something. I didn't see you one time punt the ball. Everything.
Yeah. As soon as you got the ball, you threw it out.
It was like, was it a 2-second rule? It was like hot potato. As soon as you grabbed the ball,
less than 2 seconds.
And your distribution was amazing. But I can tell you had to play cricket growing up.
It's strange. I saw that somebody sent me that
footage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, footage, and it was amazing. But thinking back in retrospect, where that came from basketball. As soon as you get a rebound, you get a rebound to your left side, the right side forward is gone.
Yeah.
So you collect and immediately you get the ball over to the right side and off the counter attack goes. So basketball had a lot to do with my goalkeeping.
Who knew you played basketball in Trinidad in the 60s?
Yeah. And I was there's a time that I had to make I wanted to make a choice between soccer and basketball. You know, the Harlem Globetrotters came to Trinidad.
What?
And they were doing, and they were doing so many great things, and everybody was spinning a ball on their fingers, and everybody was playing basketball. And but I eventually kept the two, and I can tell you that playing basketball played a major part in my development as a goalkeeper in terms of catching the ball and leaping ability and so on. So basketball helped me out a lot.
We had this discussion. Damarcus never played basketball, so
Why are you making up lies? Why are you making up?
Come on, man.
Just because I'm short does not mean I didn't play basketball. I was the best point guard.
Nah, Beasley was good. Beasley
In elementary school.
I played in high school.
So, Coach, I think what's important for us is for our listeners to know that professional soccer, especially Black players, didn't start with Oguchi, Onyewu, and Damarcus Beasley. That you guys did have a culture, and a lot of the Caribbeans came to help make up the NESL and build professional soccer in the United States. Do you mind touching on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that. That's a good question, because a lot of people believe that professional soccer started, right after the World Cup, in with the MLS. Professional MLS is they were the recipient. They benefited from the NESL, and the NESL being I would say that the immigration saved soccer in the United States. I mean, we had on every team, you had to have one American on it. The others were foreigners. Okay, but anytime you go back to the archives and NASL, you'd always hear a lot of good stories and about the European immigrants.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't hear anything about the Black immigrants. We had outstanding players from the Caribbean and outstanding players from Africa. And during that time, there were people like Boy Moton from Atlanta Chiefs. He was from South Africa. Okay. Horton, okay, was from Bermuda. Steve David from Trinidad. Archibald from Trinidad. I mean, those guys were players of the year.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
And we had many top players from there. As a matter of fact, most of the top players were from the Caribbean and Africa. As a matter of fact, we need to take note of this book. A young man by the name of Patrick Horn, okay, wrote a great book on the Black legends of the NASL. Every Black folks need to get a copy of that book because it gives a whole background of all the Black players in the NASL. So that's a good reference book to look out for.
Definitely.
And
big shout out to Mr. Patrick Horn, man. One of the founders and leaders. Patrick used to run a radio program in New York City, and he interviewed me in high school. And he's one of the people that gave me the vision to go into media. But how were the pay back then, and the housing, and how did they treat you guys as professionals?
Well, when I came in, I got my first professional contract. It was $7,000
a month.
And $7,000. That was a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
A month? A week? A year?
$7,000. But it was quite a bit of money because gas was 28 cents a gallon.
Nice.
And everything was dog cheap and so on. So that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But my professional contract lasted only 1 year with the Baltimore Bays, because after that there was there was a big dropout. The teams dropped out from 24 teams, I think it was, to just eight or eight teams.
Wow.
So at the end of the season, I came in, my wife and I and my two kids, we sold everything in Trinidad and moved up. And at the end of the season, it was announced that the Baltimore Bays will not be operating again. So there I was, up in the United States, and that was in September. So my pay ran until December. So now what am I to do?
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I had to do was to get my kids back to Trinidad with their grandparents who couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
And then the coach had he liked me very much, and he introduced me to Norman Sutherland, who was the general manager of the Washington Darts.
Okay.
And they played in a sort of semi-professional league.
Okay.
So at the end of 1968, I went to the Washington Darts, and the salary was no big thing. I was getting $300 a game, and
that sounded like good money back then, though.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
$300 a game as the coach.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on top of that, if we won, we would get $30. If we tied, we'd get $12. So needless to tell you, we didn't lose many games. And so that's where my career started as a professional coach. As a matter of fact, I was surprised that the Jet had it in their headlines as myself being the first Black person to coach a professional soccer team in the United States.
Did you realize
that was the first?
Did you realize you were the first at the time, or did you just?
No, it didn't bother me. I didn't think about it. And I remember I was on a radio show, and a television show, that is, and they were ranting and raving about, being the first Black out of the field to be the first Black coach and so on. I said, well, it doesn't faze me a bit, I think I'm a good coach, and being the first Black coach doesn't faze me a bit, But if I being the first Black coach energizes other Black coaches and players to play the game, but then I'm excited. But other than that, I'm just a coach, and I think very highly of myself, and I have high expectation for myself and for everything I do, and that's the most important thing for me.
How did they judge you in those time period, coming from Trinidad, which is a small Caribbean island? I'm sure people looked at the Caribbean as backwards, or people who don't really know the game, or at low education, or did you feel any type of resentment or type of prejudice against your background?
Well, yes. With the Baltimore Bays, it was tough with the Bays. I wasn't a starter there. I sat on the bench for about 24 games.
Wow.
Before I did get my chance, and I told my coach was Gordon Jago, and he apologized one time. We were doing a clinic and a banquet, and he said that I was such a good person and always do well, even though I'm not playing. And I remember at that banquet, I said, I know my position, and I know what the coach has to do, but anytime you, Coach Gordon Jago, let me in that goal, I'm not going to come out. And so said, so done. When I got into that position, I never came out. So the guys rooted for me and so on. But when we got to the Washington Darts, we had about 4 or 5 Scottish players, and they didn't, they didn't look to me as a knowledgeable coach. Yeah. And I've always at that time I was in the army, so I had that sergeant mentality, and I know that I know the game. I know I didn't learn the game from a book.
Yeah.
I learned the game from playing all positions, striker, halfback, defender, and playing it well. So I learned the game. And I always welcome any one of them to let's sit down and talk about the game,
Right.
you know? And so I got challenged a lot, you know, but I played my position well. We won games. And then we started bringing in more and more Caribbean players. At one point, at the second year of the Washington Dance, we had 9 Black players on the team.
Wow.
9 Black players. We had two players from Ghana, Willie Evans and Phillips, who is now the coach of Howard University.
Yes.
His dad played for me. He was a striker.
What?
And we were winning. And so nobody could tell me anything.
Right.
But now the pushback came from the league itself. We were winning all the games. Nobody could beat us. Okay. But the what do you call it? The guy in charge of the league, the commissioner. Yeah, he came up with this bright idea that in order to improve the level of soccer in the United States on the professional level, we have to have all English coaches.
What?
So there was a move. There was a move to have all English coaches, you know. But it didn't happen in my reign because we were with all West Indian players and African players. We were just unstoppable.
Wow.
So that's how we got the feedback. But the real pushback was when I went to coach at Howard University. That was where we got feedback.
How did you transfer from coaching in professional realms to coaching to go collegiately? I mean, you already kind of passed the college stage, and you didn't come up playing in a university in the States. How did you get introduced to that world?
Well, but when you ask me some really good questions here, I'm getting excited. My aim when I came up to the United States was to get a physical education degree. Correct. No, I was in college. I was in college material.
Yeah.
Okay. But my aim, I was the physical education director in the Army. So physical education and my leadership and playing, I wanted to get a degree in physical education. And when the football ended on the professional level, I applied for a student visa and got into Catonsville Community College. Okay. And so I had about 21 credits there, and I was taking football, basketball, tennis, hockey. I mean, I just did all the PE courses. I stayed away from a lot of the other courses because everything was new and difficult for me, man. It was hard. Yeah. And then I was doing a clinic. I always loved doing clinics because of the recreation departments in the inner cities in Baltimore. We did a lot of clinics. And with the Washington Dats, we were conducting a clinic at the University of Maryland for the Special Olympics. And there I came up with the coach of the Howard University team, Dr. Ted Chambers. And he invited me to do a clinic. So I went and did the clinic. And as a professional coach, I had them moving from point A to point B. Now, the makeup of the team was a lot of Caribbean and African players. And there was a lot of dissension between the players, and a lot of quarreling. And oh my goodness.
How did they receive you, though, Coach? When you went there, how did they receive you? Were they happy that you were there? I'm sure, let me ask you a question. Dr. Chambers, was he really a footballer, or he just a guy like a high school coach who's a teacher and he's just doing this on the side to make a couple extra dollars?
Well, he wasn't doing that for extra dollars. He coached almost every sport at Howard University. Wow. His specialty was swimming and baseball and football. Right? He knew nothing, absolutely nothing about soccer. But this guy is a saint. He was my mentor, and he started soccer in 1945. Okay, because at Howard, the students from Africa and the Caribbean, they had nothing to do. They could not relate to football and basketball. So he recognized this, and he decided to add cricket when he became athletic director. Cricket and soccer in Howard University. Now, a little history there at Howard University. Soccer started at Howard University in 1931.
Wow.
1931, we used to play against other black schools like Lincoln and Hampton and Shady State and those teams. So,
my uncle, Dr. Hugh Wilson, he played for Howard in the 60s, coming straight from Jamaica. So they were recruiting West Indians before you got there.
Well, they did not recruit. They did not recruit.
Tell him.
We had a lot of players, folks from the Caribbean and Africa, who come for an education.
Yes.
They want to be engineers, they want to be doctors, and so on. Nobody came to Howard, to play soccer until I got there. Because in your uncle's days, all those guys were scholars.
Yeah.
3-point and 4-point average guys. And it's only when I got in there, we started to recruit. In 1970, I was invited to coach a team.
Wow.
But the problem was, you could not coach a team on the college level without a degree. And I had 21 credits. Right? And they allowed me, since I had all that experience and so on, and but they could not name me in 1970 as the head coach. They could name me as the assistant coach, but I was the de facto coach. I was coaching the team, know. And my first recruit was a young man named Alvin Henderson. He's Dr. Henderson now. He lives in Trinidad, and he was one of the greatest players I ever coached. A prolific goal scorer.
Wow!
Out of the sky. A young man by the name of Keith Ackley dropped out, and he was the fastest player I've ever seen in my life. So that started. Everything started from there.
Coach, he wasn't faster than Beasley, was he?
Yeah. Again?
He wasn't faster than Damarcus Beasley.
Yeah.
Marcus wasn't fast. Marcus was just quick and agile and wiry and
wiry. That's a good. That is a very.
I have a question. Obviously, the years we live now currently, we're seeing in the last 365 days, we've seen a lot of civil unrest, a lot of racial unrest, from protests to riots, from the election, everything, right? And I think what a lot of people don't realize is when you were coaching here in America, that was in the 70s, that's only 50 years ago. That's within the lifetime of a lot of this stuff that's just taken shape. And I wanted you to kind of reflect, because now obviously we see what's happening now versus where it was in the 70s, 60s, 70s. What do you feel has changed and what do you feel hasn't changed?
Nothing.
Wow.
It's the same thing. It comes in different phases. The black person is viewed and has always been viewed as the bottom of the totem pole. Okay, and for years we had to fight for freedom. We had to fight for voting rights, and we had to fight for this. And Martin Luther King and his group, fought for equality and justice. And we are still fighting for equality and justice, because what happens, the folks who own the castle, and pull the strings, the more we press, they drop some crumbs. Okay, and we get a little comfortable. Okay, and we don't realize that we're going backwards until something happens, and then we spur again, and we riot, and they appease us, and so on. So nothing has changed, except what I see is the people like you Mabricio, like Coach, people like Damarcus, the young ones, is a different kind of black man. We're not interested. You guys are not interested in crumbs, my friends. You want the whole thing, you know? And so it has not changed. And what has happened, that's why a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about Trump. And not me. I don't have anything bad to say about Trump at all. Trump is not a problem. Trump is a symptom. Trump is a symptom of what is happening. Okay? We have to look at the cause.
Yeah.
Okay? We got to deal with the cause. And in soccer, if we want equality and if we want justice, okay, do not expect to get it. You're not going to get it because we don't own soccer teams. We don't own soccer franchises. So when I know that the Black Coaches Association and a lot of guys are fighting hard for justice in terms of getting more coaches and the professional league and so on, I say that should not be our goal. It should not be our goal. It's too small.
Yeah.
Okay, it's too small. Our goals need to be impossible or next to impossible goals that you really cannot. You can't get it. It's almost impossible. Okay, that means that we always have to be fighting to reach that goal, and that goal, my friends, is to own professional franchises, not to own professional franchises alone, but to have winning professional franchises.
Right.
That's what we need to be aiming at, you know? So we need good coaches. Those are goals that we have to set along the way. We need good coaches. We need folks like you, Mabricio, okay? And in the media, we need folks like Oguchi doing business. I heard Damarcus is involved in one of the franchises, and that's what we need. We need to get our feet in everything, not only in playing, but in management and ownership. And there's no reason why we can't do it now. I don't want to hear about later, now. And that's why I feel very honored to be on this show, because I ran my race. And just like Coach Chambers ran his race from the 40s, okay, and handed me the baton in the 70s, I feel that I could hand the baton, and me and people like me who have done good work could hand the baton to you young guys, because you guys know what it is to go outside here, and you're not going to take no for an answer. And it's not no yes sir and yes ma'am again. No, it's a new black man.
Yes, sir.
And I have a quick question, because you touched on it a little bit, but you coached during when you're in America, you coached during the civil rights. And my question is, how hard was it to keep your players focused and their mind somewhat on the game, and still be proud that they're a black man living in America and trying to fight what we're still fighting for? How hard was that being a coach of that team to handle all those emotions and different races in that time? How hard was that?
Well, I would say in the college, on the college level, because I spent 10 years, and we in 1970. We came out of nowhere and we went straight to the Final Four, and everybody was just gunning for us, and it was tough for the players, and especially the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans will fight in a minute. They're not taking it.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
And when we play games, you get the N word, and the guys couldn't understand that. And they would spit at you and so on, and just rib you, And one of my players, I remember one time somebody spotted, didn't spit on it, because I told them that they do that to get you off your game.
Yeah.
And they if you want to really, really hurt these players, okay, take your hatred and funnel it out in two things. When you're kicking to goal, kick the ball as hard as possible to the back of the net. And when you're going into tackle, make sure the tackle is legal. But you know, when you hit somebody, they must really feel they got
they gotta feel it.
Yeah. And
that's what Goose learned from you at the camp.
That's where the Caribbeans learned that tackle. I was Jamaican tackle.
Yeah. So that was one of the ways I had to really condition my players, you know. But what I did that helped out a lot, I remember in 1971, when we were getting ready to play with the championship, I brought in a social professor. His name was Don Basil Matthews. And he had a voice like James Earl Jones, you know, that kind of voice, you know. And we were now getting to understand, because most of the guys, all the guys from Caribbean and Africa, we don't know about what's happening with this racial thing. We don't understand. You know, and so he told us. He said a speech that I'll never forget. He said, "You guys are not just soccer players. You know, you guys are ambassadors.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are ambassadors for the game, for your country, for your race, and you're ambassadors, and you must be at your best, not often," he said, "but always."
Always.
You know, and that's James Jones. You know, when he left that room, we sat down in the room and nobody spoke. Nobody spoke for a long time, and it just brought about a certain level of consciousness that every time we ran onto that field, we were just representing everybody. Okay, and that's how I spent my 10 years at Howard University. All our teams played not just soccer alone.
So
they played for everything.
In 1971, you guys won the championship. You beat St. Louis 3-0. St. Louis was the powerhouse. 3-2. Sorry, 3-2. And St. Louis was the powerhouse at that time of the college game. How shocking was that? And obviously, we want to talk about the downfall that happened after you guys were told the prior season. So after you guys won in 1971, right, and you shocked the world, tell us a little bit about how the reaction was on campus at Howard University.
It was amazing because we knew that we were going to lose some players.
Like we just lost you.
Yeah. Oh boy.
There you go. There you go.
You know that we were going to lose some players, and a good friend, because I always recruit a year ahead, you know, and a good friend of mine from Jamaica, Winston Chung.
Wow.
He said that guy was a philosopher, man. He said, "Filippo, I have some guys here. I have players that will help you continue to win the NCAA championship."
Hold on, I didn't know that Chung Fa sent you the Jamaican players.
Oh yeah. Because what happened as a result of that, Mabricio, we played the 71 championship in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Orange Bowl.
Yeah, the Orange Bowl. And so we arranged a trip from Miami to Jamaica and back, so it was cheap, you know. Yeah. And so we got over there and we played some good games. We played we beat up rough up a few of your top teams over there. And then
allegedly, coach. There's no video. I don't know. I never read that. But I had no idea that my uncle was the one that sent you the players. That is amazing. So you went down there after winning the championship, and I just want to make it clear that you're the first HBCU to ever win an NCAA title in any sport. I mean, sir, let's take a moment. I mean, that's just tremendous.
Can we get the round of applause?
My bad, Gooch.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. Woo! But now, you know, I felt really great about it because when we were in Jamaica, so we flew straight from go to Jamaica. While we were in Jamaica, we got a telegram from Nixon.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's another story.
Yeah.
That's another story.
I never heard this.
Nixon was going up for re-election, and he needed the black vote. Now we got to find out all of that years later.
Yeah.
Little Wayne trying to get the black vote. Little Wayne trying to get
right? Okay. So he sent a telegram. I think a lawyer by the name of Willie Lethbridge. He's about 90 years of age now, had a stroke, and he has a big foundation now in Washington. He wrote the letter. He wrote and suggested to Nixon that we send the telegram, and when they come back, invite us to the White House. Okay? Let me get to that in a moment. But we're in Jamaica. We played some teams over there and so on. Saw some beautiful players. I saw, we went to look at Bertram Beckett. Oh man, that guy was beautiful. Mario McLennan, and Tulloch. Okay, went to look at 3 players. But coming towards the end of the game, I saw little Marcus Beasley on the right wing. Man, he was just beating the hell out of my defender. The defender was on the ground and so on. So after the game, and I went in, Chung let me in the dressing room. I said, Winnie, who's that in number 10? He showed, I said, that little fella? He said, yeah. I said, well, obviously, if he could play that good, that means he doesn't have any GCE passes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So how many passes do you have? He says 7. I said, 7? I said, in what? He said, physics, chemistry.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You want to come to Howard?
Yeah.
He said, yes. I said, sign here.
Yeah.
And so on our return now.
But Coach, I'm just stunned because I've never heard this story. That I know you guys have a close relationship with Winston Chungfa, but I didn't realize that for your championship years that he sent you the players. Can you give us a little story maybe about Chungfa and any moments that you remember him? Rest in peace to Winston Chungfa.
Chungfa. Now, when I played in Trinidad for the national team and we had games in Jamaica, he would always be there, busybody. He had some good restaurants,
Yes.
And he'd always invite us over for Chinese food and so on. And he was just such a nice person. And you would think that this guy has a PhD, the way he speaks and everything, he's like a philosopher. So I got to know him there. Mm-hmm. And when I came up to the United States and I started my soccer coaching school, his nephew asked me if I could bring him up because he doesn't have the restaurant anymore and so on. I said, sure. Yeah. And when he came up and he came to my soccer camp, and I'm telling you, he was one of the highlights whenever we had our soccer camps. And he would, I remember a poem that he used to say to his players. I will never forget it. Okay, he would recite poems. I don't know if he made it up or what. He would always be able to tell these players something before the game or at halftime or something. And one of these poems stuck in my mind, and I took it to almost every team I coach. He said, "We are not here to play, to dream, to drift. We have hard work to do and heavy loads to lift. Shun not the struggle. Face it. It's God's gift. Be strong." Man,
wow!
I used that so many times at Ford University. When we were down, it just, I feel goosebumps right now. He was to me. He was where Coach Chambers was a mentor to me. Chung was, I wouldn't say a mentor, but he was somewhere up there in the clouds.
Definitely.
Somewhere up in the cloud. And on top of that, a great friend. And as a matter of fact, he's the one that introduced me to Leroy and asked Leroy to come to my soccer camp when Leroy was 10 years of age.
Yeah, that's how we first knew about you. It was my brother going to your soccer camp from New York down into Maryland. Yeah, and I think you were nice. I think because of Chung Fa, you gave him the Player of the Year award. So
no.
because you know Chung Fa.
No, he was good. He deserved it. He deserved it.
But coach, you came back after winning into the 1972 year, and I was amazed to find out that you didn't realize they stripped you of the title until the middle of the season.
Yeah, what happened? We won the championship in 71. We brought in Jamaican players the best in Jamaica. So we improved the 1971 team by as much as We improved it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the teams, for instance, one team, I remember New Jersey Tech, we fought to beat them the year before 2-1. And when they came to us, they got 8.
Wow.
8 goals. Penn State got 9.
Wow.
And it was just a matter of time. And it is during that period, the investigation came and they decided several players, had stopped playing. And so while the investigation was ongoing, and we went down to Miami and played against St. Louis with a depleted team. And we lost. We lost to St. Louis. Now, an all-white team, an all-white coach, Harry Kehoe. Now, that's a coach that I have the utmost respect for. And he's one of the highest coach that I've ever coached and played against. Mm-hmm. When they took away the championship from us, okay, they gave it to St. Louis. And Harry Kehoe said, we win championships on the field. I don't want it. And besides, Lincoln is a gentleman. He's my friend. I will not do that to him.
Wow. I never heard that.
Harry Kehoe said that. Okay. And the relationship and the pride and respect that Howard All Black had for St. Louis All White was immense, because I remember people talk to me about this. Whenever we played St. Louis, sometimes Harry and I would walk together and we would be talking at the sideline, because you know what? We can do anything about the game. We don't know. The game will be decided by the players.
Yes, sir.
And we feel comfortable enough to talk to one another, about the game and so on. And it was really, really close. A lot of respect at the players even now. Whenever the players hear or meet one another, okay, they're always highly respectful of each other. That was the greatest jewel of our lives, Howard University and St. Louis.
So Coach, you saying 72, you guys were banned from playing in the tournament. 73, they banned you guys altogether for playing in the tournament. No, you lost in 72. 73, you're banned from playing in the tournament. What's the thought process in 1974 as you guys are preparing for the season? You just come off a season that you were banned. You know you're one of the best, if not the best team in the country. How do you coach these guys? How do you motivate them?
Well, the 73 season was the hardest season of football I've ever coached in my entire life. You're coaching these teams, you have a good team, but there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no championship to go to. And it was difficult. My captain, Ian Bain, turned out to be a solid guy, because he broke up little fights and so on that I didn't know of, and it was very, very difficult. But one of the players had a friend, a Nigerian, Charlie Pine. He said, Coach, we have some nice players in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And I know I had a friend in Nigeria. I called up my friend in Nigeria. He said, Coach, sure, man, tell me what you want. Okay, I said, okay. I want a center back who's a very cerebral guy, because I had one who was a junkyard dog. Right? I had two center midfielders were tall, strong, and they would stay in the midfield. So I want two midfielders who can play, who will go forward.
Yeah.
And at that time, midfielders never used to go forward. I didn't know too much about that, but I just wanted somebody to blend with the two guys that we had there. And I had a Marcus Beasley, Beasley on the left wing, and I wanted to see if I could get another Marcus Beasley on the right
On the
side.
right, yeah.
I got one by the name of Tunde Balogun. Oh, jeez. The boy could dribble someone in a telephone booth. he was, and so I went to the embassy.
But Coach, before you go on, Oguchi is Nigerian, I'm Jamaican. Who is a better player, the Nigerian winger or the Jamaican winger? Be honest.
Both of them. Let me tell you something. Both of them got behind the defenders and crossed the ball. They got the highest assists and even scored goals. As a matter of fact, the 74 championship, okay, the two goals that we scored in the final against St. Louis, the first one came from the Nigerian on the right side, and the second one came from the Jamaican on the left side. So, they did their job.
Well represented. Yeah.
But Coach, I'll be honest. We do a lot of research for you because obviously how special, to have you here with us today. But can you speak a little bit about what I heard that one of your players was using superstition? Can you talk a little bit about that? I thought that was hilarious.
Was this the one about the corn?
Yep.
Yeah, the corn. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That is the funniest thing. Those who have read my book, they heard about that because I didn't put it in the book at first.
Yeah.
And one of my players, Ian Dane, said, "Coach, did you put that in the book?" I said, "No." He said, "Coach, you must be crazy." He said, "Coach, you put it in the book." I said, "But I didn't want people to think about it as voodoo and things like that." He said, "Coach, that's okay." He said, "The Europeans have a rabbit foot in the pocket. Okay, people have superstitions."
Yeah.
Right. So I put it in the book. But we in 1971, we got into the finals. Okay, into the playoff
tournament. Yeah.
So the first game was against Harvard. And so just before we left, a Nigerian guy, Onadeku, came to me and said, "Coach, do you want to win this game?" Come on, man. He said, "Well, send Ian Dane and Alvin Henderson to my room." So 5 seconds later, they came out and Ian Dane was watching me with crossed eyes. The guy was mad. I said, "What happened?" He said, "This joker give me a banana and tell me to put the banana in my shoe and not to take it out until I get to the dressing room." So I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" He said, I'm going to eat the banana." I said, "No. If you're going to eat the banana, do as you tell me."
Yeah.
The game was a hard game.
That's on YouTube too, as well. To our listeners, you can find that game as well on YouTube.
Yeah. Ian Dane scored a goal in that game.
Yes.
I don't know how the ball went in, but it scored. So the next game now against St. Louis, Onadeku comes up. "Coach, you want to win this game?" And I'm saying, Jesus. He says, "I have something for you. When we get to the dressing room." When we got to the dressing room, he said, "Coach, are you ready?" I said, "Ready for what?" He said, "The thing." I said, "What thing?" He said, "All right." He put a handful of grains of corn and he put them in a zigzag formation. And he said, each player had to step on these corns, to your right, to your left, you know. And the guy started to do it. And the guy said, they looked at me and said, Coach, you know, I said, do it. Do it. So he said, you know, so if you just imagine yourself a fly on the wall and you see 20 black players just stepping on these courts, you know, and you picture that. This is the craziest looking thing. And after the last one went, I am so happy that it's over. He watched me as if to say, well, in other words, you have to do it too. Oh my God. The players cracked up and I started to do it. And the players were on the ground and laughing and so on. But here what's happening. Here what's happening. You're going to play the biggest game of your life. What is going to happen in that dressing room? It's going to be stressed.
Oh, yes.
Guys, you see what's happening? And I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You see what was happening. Anyhow, we did it and we came and we won the game.
I just want to say,
so we had our 25th.
Sorry, Coach. Go ahead. I was going to say in that game, you had Shep Messing as a goalkeeper at Harvard, who was a Cosmo legend. You know, he's a commentator here at the Red Bulls. And, you know, it was great also to see Harvard had 3 black players on the team.
Yeah, yeah. And one of them was Russell Bell.
Yes, baller. He's Jamaican?
Yeah, Russell Bell's Jamaican.
Bell what a baller. What a baller.
We had some great soccer players, man.
Woo.
And there's another one named Felix Adediji.
Yes.
He was about 6'5".
Monster.
He was a monster. And after we won the championship, about 20 years later, we had our 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And guys were talking, you know, Ian Bain as captain gave his speech about how he felt playing on the 2 championships. And then I came up and I spoke and so on. And I had to say, Deku, you know, tell us something about the corn, you know, what you did. He said, Coach, don't you understand that I was a psychology major?
Wow.
I said, no, I could. He said, Coach, I did that to relax the team.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. Gooch, I wish you did stuff like that with us.
Yeah.
Damarcus is always tense before we start a show. You know, he's always stomach bubbling.
You know, Lincoln, it's funny because I always say, you know, some coaches coach and some coaches manage. And I feel like you were both, right? Because obviously, you know, football, there's no dispute in that. But I think people take away of the different nationalities that you were controlling, you know, like Trinis are different than Jamaicans, that are different than Nigerians, that are different than Ghanaians. And to have all these different nationalities, all these backgrounds who have their own egos, you know, to come together in a collective and win and compete with each other, that in itself is a feat for you to be able to do that with the team.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, a lot of things help. I was lucky that all of them really wanted to win the championship. I'll give a good example. I had a boy named Sylvanus Oriaki, and he, as a striker, he would come to the wing to receive the ball. And when he got there, he needs to get the ball on his foot, because when the defender comes, he will flip the ball over his foot and he will run to inside left position, and then he would shape to shoot, and then he would touch the ball further towards the middle, and he would shoot from that angle with the right foot. Okay? And he would always score. Here comes this Jamaican new player, and he would not give him the ball how he wanted. And so they would but in the meantime, we're not scoring any goals. So one day I called up Sylvanus. I said, listen, you're the captain of the team. And the reason I have you as the captain of the team, because you can reach these players. You're an international. I went to the Jamaican. I said, you're an international player, okay? We need you to talk with Sylvanus and turn this team around. And just before we went off into the dressing room, I heard both of them said at the same time, Silver, let's talk. So that was one instance. And I was also lucky to have some professors who came in and talk with us and talk about the blackness and being ambassadors and so on. So we were, had one focus in mind. And what helped me out a lot, guys, and this is so important, okay? It was not the coaching or the players, but it was my family. When I went back home, I had my wife. I had my wife and my kids, my 4 boys, play with them, we have a good time. And then every now and then my wife would cook food, cook some food for the players. Damn, the guys liked it. The guys enjoyed it. And so that was always a really, really good feeling that brought to the team. Okay. And so, when people said, Coach, you got a lot of awards and trophies and so on. And I always let them know, yes, I feel good about it. But you know what? My family, if it weren't for my family, I would not have achieved that objective. Okay. If it were not for my players and my friends and my relatives, all of them have their fingertips on the awards that I've achieved. So to answer your question or the statement, how did you handle that? All of these things came into play.
Coach, I'd like you to express to us your proudest moment of, that tenure between 1970 and 1974, looking back at that legacy. What is your proudest moment that you kind of, curate and love the most?
Oh, the proudest moment, I think that I think it had to be. I think it had to be 2. It had to be after losing in the championship in 70 to win in 74, 71. It was, when the final whistle was blown, I just didn't know how to be. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I just didn't know what to do. And the players lifted me up, and tears kept rolling down my eyes, and it was just a feeling that I've never had before, And then the downside to that was when they took away the championship. I cried just as much. And the next great moment was that 1974 championship. And I deliberately put up the poster here just behind me. That poster is the redemption song.
Yeah.
Okay. We came back. I don't know what would have happened if we'd lost that game. We probably would have all died and gone somewhere. There was no thought in our minds that we would lose that game. That game meant everything for us. So we didn't just win the game, we took it.
You were losing at half.
We're losing twice. Okay, they came. Not twice. Once. In the first half, we played so poorly. We should have been 5 goals down in the first half. Okay, and in the second half, we came and we rallied and we equalized, and then in 4 overtime periods we won it. But that was absolutely an amazing feeling, and it sent a message outside there, okay, to all our folks that anytime, as Black people in particular, or anybody for that matter, anytime somebody takes something away from you, it is your duty to take it back.
Yeah.
Okay. And you take it back by thinking, by strategizing, and playing technical and good tactical games. And That's what we did. And if any message could come from that documentary, Redemption Song, that is the message. To you guys, go outside of Damarcus, go outside there, Oguchi and Mabricio. You go back and whatever they have that they've kept away from us, you go for it. You go and take it, just like we did. And if you can start that ball rolling and spread that word among all the little black folks and black young men and young women that you come into contact with, let them know the important thing as black folks is to never be defeated. Never be defeated.
Yeah, there's a quote or words that you said that that really moved me. Very, very simple. And it's literally what you're talking about now. And it was, don't get mad, get smart. Simple words that you said that it means so much more than just those words. Those the words are powerful. They mean, you can apply that to football, you can apply it to life, you can apply it to anything that you're striving to become, to be, to want. And I just think those words that you said really, really moved me in a way that my mind is just, I'm so honored to speak to you now that I've heard all your interviews. I've read a lot of things this past couple of weeks about you and the history and what you went through and your triumphs and your adversities, what you went through. And it's just an honor for me to speak to you and hear your story face to face. And it's just an honor for me to speak to you and see you and hear you and listen and just learn.
And that is what it's all about. You hope, because when I was a kid, I had mentors and people who really inspired me. It was a pleasure to talk to them and help me. Just a word they would tell me, and then I'd be playing poorly, and then they said something to me, and they said, boom, I'm off. So I know what that means, Marcus. And when somebody can come to me and tell me what you just said me, I am so happy and so honored that I was able to pass on the information, because I got that from Mr. Winston Chung. You see, I use a lot of people's things, and so we steal and we apply it at the right moment. And if it goes to touch, other younger people, so be it. That's what it's all about. Keep the ball rolling. Yep. Don't stop it.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Marcus. Thanks a lot, man.
No, mine. Thank you,
Lincoln. I grew up knowing you, so your story I've known for years, and we've I think we've seen each other on a number of different occasions throughout the area here. But honestly, I think I speak for everybody in saying that you are an icon, a Black icon for younger generations like us, and we can only hope to have achieved a level of influence to the next generation as you have given to us. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you much for joining us, and always for inspiring us, sir. And I think I speak for the rest of the guys on this podcast. If anything that you need us for, or we can join or help or be assistance, please never hesitate.
Yeah, my pleasure again. And Marcus, you one of my favorite players, and Gooch, to see Gooch come up and play at the international level and do so well, and you, Mabricio, doing so well. I just feel honored myself to be part of the show, and I just want to. Did you notice my shirt?
You're looking good. Look, I like that too. You're looking good at football, Coach. You're looking.
That's important. The one thing we as Black folks, what we have to do is we have to be supportive of each other. Nikes and Adidas and all, they're good. I like them. But you know what? I like footballer too, because the brand is a good brand and it's just as good as any. It's from one of us, and I really encourage all the players, especially our Black players and everybody, to make sure you buy the brand, because they're very good, very, very comfortable shirts, and it's an honor to wear them.
There we go.
Much love, Coach. Coach, say hi to the wife and your sons and the rest of the family, and much love. And we all will be in touch very soon.
My pleasure.
Thank you
very much.
It was an honor.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep the ball rolling, fellas. Keep the ball rolling.
We will.
Hey, Gooch, that's the name of the show.
Keep the ball rolling.
Keep the ball rolling, brother.
Ball rolling.
Take care, Coach.
All right, Coach.
All right, peace.
Right, Coach.
Yo, Bees, Coach he gave the peace sign like you do.
Yeah, he did.
Like Goose does.
Hey, that's Maryland. Maryland, East Coast.
DMV, what you know?
That's the cool brother right there, man.
What do you
Wow.
say? What do you say after all that?
You
man?
could, I couldn't. I was fumbled in my words. I couldn't get out what I really wanted to say because just listening to him and what I'm saying, like I had known about his story a while ago, but I never really got into it and did my research.
Took
Like
time.
obviously when we talked about having him on the show, I started reading, I started watching, I started the stuff you sent me, Mookie. And man, what his story is incredible. What an incredible man.
What's wild to me is that at his age, he can still recall the events from years. I can't even remember what happened last week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like crystal clear image. He'll tell you the person, the athletic director, what year,
names,
how old his son was when I'm like, goodness gracious, this man has a photographic memory, and that it meant something to him. As cool and calm as he is, like it's ingrained in him deeply, and he appreciates it. So
and he has some jokes. Yeah, he has some jokes.
Oh yeah, man. He got stories for days, man.
Yeah, he got stories, man. I could listen to him for forever.
Listen, what I want our listeners to do, and I really encourage you, is to go watch his footage. Go watch his documentary, Redemption Song. Go read his book, Above the Crossbar. And he didn't get a chance to tell us that he has some incredible works coming up. So, the whole world would know his story as well. And he has some blessings really coming up this year and next. But definitely, I found footage of him playing as a goalkeeper in 1965. And let me tell you, Beasley, Trinidad was playing some ball.
Yeah, I saw it.
They beat Argentina, Colombia.
Yeah, I saw it.
Pan-Am games,
Yeah, I saw the games.
And also there's a 1971, there's footage of Harvard versus Howard in the Orange Bowl. And let me tell you, fellas, we are blessed because they play on some hard stone carpet. That ball, Gooch, was just bouncing. That was rough. But I encourage you guys to read his writings, watch his videos, study. And again, for me, Black history is American history. And I encourage everybody to make sure you know about the legend, the GOAT, the pioneer, the icon, Lincoln Phillips.
Lincoln Phillips.
All right. So listen, much love. Make sure that you comment, rate, share,
subscribe,
and all around stay inspired and motivated. Hopefully this show helped you with that. All right. Everybody, peace and love. We out.
Peace.
Peace.